If you had a daughter now, what would you do? All right, man. Okay, kind of going off what I was talking about before. Realistically speaking, like I know this sounds bad, like, but I would have a funky mean ass double standard. Like it would just wouldn't. I wouldn't care, because I know what boys want. I know what boys do, and like whatever you want, or however you want to twist it, it is what it is, and it's always gonna be like that. And if I had a daughter, I would protect her to the day, like I die. Like like she could be fucking 30. Okay, no, when you come home, you better like. If you bring a guy home, you better be married, and I don't want to meet you. Like I would be that dad.
And for me, if I have a daughter now, I would try my best to treat her exactly the way I treat Simba. Um, just we were when was growing up, I was groomed into whatever that fit the need of my family. Right. So now we're trying our best to create a growing environment that adapt to his growth.
Yeah, we're growing with him.
Yes. I'm gonna try to do the same thing, but it's gonna be really hard because of all this thing that I was groomed. Like, oh, because you're a girl, you need to know all of this, which is honestly good because some like boys my age back in the day are dumb, man. They're dumb. That's why I always date older guys. But um, it's a fine line between okay, what is grooming and what is like just building knowledge for the kids. So I'm just glad that I don't have a daughter, but if I do, I'll try my best to treat her as equally as I treat my son, basically. And like, yeah, just to help her grow in the same way and see where it goes.
I feel like I might kind of like be similar to what Eric said, but I might not be as
You you
I might not be as extreme as him, but yes, I would be definitely be super overprotective because with Simba, yes, I do feel like yeah, I can do whatever you want. Talk to girls, like I don't feel like the need to like protect him from that. But yes, if I see my daughter getting a lot of interaction from guys, ooh, like I would feel like I think it's just like in my blood as like a male, right? To like feel protective right away, like who are these boys? Like why is she talking to them? Yeah. I would feel protective for sure.
Yeah. But not just for like kids too. Like there's like that double standard, and it's really unfair. I'll be honest with you. Like if a guy, older guy, like whatever, they're in college, a guy talks to a bunch of girls, he just gets high fives. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But if a girl talks to a bunch of guys, it's just like, dude, you question her like more like her morals, like what's she doing. If it happens to a guy, it doesn't matter. So that's unfortunately it's a double standard, but
It might be a little off topic. Do you guys think we could get away from that, or that will stay in our society forever?
maybe it doesn't.
So
Yeah, maybe it doesn't get away from it. I can't.
no, I think it's now since there's like so many genders now.
Yeah.
I feel like it goes both ways. So like, you could obviously call a man a slut too when you see him going around with other girls. Like since we have social media, like I think it's apparent now that it's like when we see other guys like doing the same thing as to like, oh, like I'm dating this girl, I'm seeing this girl, like he's like untouched because no one wants to date him.
Yeah.
Like no one wants to be with him because he's like gone.
I definitely see that now. Like when I was in high school at college, definitely like guys get away with a lot of those. But as of Gen Z moving forward, I feel like they do like they get blacklisted, like just like girls would back in the days now, which is nice, you know.
Yeah, I think if I had a daughter, I would be less stressed about they eating. Oh. Oh, yeah. As sad as it sounds, I wouldn't be so concerned if my daughter didn't eat as much because she can still be short, right? Because she's a black. But if a guy is short, dude, I feel so bad for my brother because my brother is 5'7", right? And he tells me the confidence issues that he has because of his height and the stress that he goes through because of his height. Like we as girls, we don't think of it as much because we don't think about our height. But for guys, that's like thinking about the size of your penis, right?
Dude, that's wild too because 5'7" to me is not that bad because I'm only 3 inches taller, but like I get away with a lot because I'm like I'm 5'7". But like, dude, yeah, 5'7", you're in that range where you're like. You're short. You're short. Well, like once you hit the 5'9" range, you're okay. You're average.
Yeah.
I feel bad.
You're 5'10".
I'm 5'10".
Yeah.
Once you double like 5 and double digits, you know, you can't be 5 and single digits.
5'9" is like, oh, you might get a pass. What? 5'7", like, damn, bro. Like, I'm sorry.
If you're 5'9", you're rounding up. You're 5'10".
If a girl is 5 feet, you get away with
That's
it.
fine. Honestly, that's a good topic. That's really.
I don't know if you could get away with that.
The girl's 5 feet. That's like borderline, like a little too small. Like, like that's like almost that's as bad as, like, to me at least, personally. I mean, granted, it's because I'm fully 6'3", but like it's I feel that same type of ick. Like if a girl if she comes up to
Short.
yeah, she comes up, she's like, I'm 5 feet tall. I'll be like, no, thank
Looking
you.
at your stomach.
No, thank you. Like that is like borderline, like,
Prime position.
yeah, you cannot, She said private
position.
chill, guys, chill. But no, like I think that to me is like the same thing as like if a guy was like 5'5", 5'6", same type of ick. Chill, guys.
So, do you guys have any daddy issues or mommy issues?
Yes, I do. I do have both issue. So my parents divorced. I have my real dad and my stepdad. They're both nice and kind to me, but none of them are close to me. Is because I live with my mom most of the time. So I do have that issue where I was like, I don't have that constant protection that a girl would want to feel, like, oh, come home and tell dad the things that happen. And then, just knows like closeness with my dad because they both like, what my stepdad couldn't be that close to me because he's a stepdad. And then my dad just doesn't live with me when I was growing up. So it's like, it's tough because I don't have that day-to-day connection basically. But obviously when I meet up, like, we always have a good time. Um, and mommy issues. So my mom I do have it. My mom is she care about a lot of people. Like she cares about everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm selfish. Like, you should be only caring about me and like the rest of my family. Like, who give a shit about the rest of the community or whatever? But she's not like that. She's like this like person who like just welcome anybody that had trouble. She'll help any way she could.
Yeah.
It's like a saint, like
I sometimes like, help me, help me.
like she do a lot of charity work, like it's all good. And she say like I do all of this so that all of the good karma can be for my kids. That's what she believe in. And that's fine. That's her own belief. But for me, I just get annoyed because she spent all this energy for all these people. Whereas like I need energy, I need all that. It's not like she doesn't give it to me, but I feel like she could have given more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
Tell them about how everyone called her mother.
Yeah. So everybody call her moms, a mommy, a mother in their own way. And she welcomes it. And in my head, like, you're not allowed to call my mom your mom because she's my mom. You know what I mean? That should be just like us, me, my brother, and my little sister that call her mom. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, all of you that call my mom are just like a bunch of kiss ass. You know what I mean?
She loves it though.
My mom loves it. Loves it, but it's her thing. Like, if she feel the love, then, let her be happy. Like, we're living separate life at this point, so I don't hold any other grudge regarding that. I just still have an ick whenever I hear somebody that's not me or my sibling calling my mom in like the sweetest way. So
That's weird.
yeah, but if my mom like it, she embrace it. What can I do? I live separate life now, so I just have to accept it. Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember or if I ever shared this, but the first time I actually remember like things were not normal in the house when I just turned 5. So my dad used to hit my mom, like not every day, but like occasionally. And right when I turned 5 when I started visually remembering like, okay, like this and this happened. And ever since then, like I resented my dad. Like I was so little, but I like for me to have those feelings of like, oh, I wish he was dead because like he would hit my mom. Like I felt that much hatred. And so like I never looked at my dad as my hero. Like he was never some like role model that I looked up to. And same thing goes for my mom too. Like the way that I looked at my mom was like she was so helpless. And she was supposed to be like the mother of, my sister, me and my brother, but well, I felt like she was really just there because she was forced to be there. And she was forced to be a mom. And so like when I looked at my parents, I never felt like they were people that I could look up to. And sometimes like, when how based on how controlling my dad was, I wanted my mom to like, I guess, fight for me a little more, but she couldn't. Like she had no voice.
Yeah.
And so like my anger and my hatred actually stemmed from like watching how my dad and my mom built their relationship.
I know you told me a lot about this too, and I just want to say, you've done a lot of, self, help, and I think you're doing a lot better, with dealing with everything that you went through. So,
Despite I'm sure they were thinking that they would try really hard with us. But it's just now that we're grown, it's just a true reflection of the way things are. And I don't think we are like over the top with it.
Yeah.
I think we see it with a real, like, very realistic eyes. Yeah. So
what can young Asians learn from the past? How can they turn the table and stop this cycle of repeated mistraining of Asian women?
Yeah, it starts with you guys. Yeah.
yeah, I think there are research saying that we're the better generation, that we don't trauma dump on our kids, and we don't create boxes that they have to fill in. So I think it's starting with the millennials. Like, we are doing a lot better than our parents. I think I told this in another episode, but my mom recognized that I am a good mom, so that's really boosts my confidence that I know when I'm doing. Obviously, I'm not gonna be like just going at it blind. I'm still gonna learn from other people, where it makes sense. And I think we just need to keep learning really on how to raise a generally good person, right? Not like making this a thing where female have to know certain things, male have to know certain things, like I don't. There's stigma about male expectation too, but we can get into that another day. Yeah.
I would like to add a small thing. I do see a lot, like with my friends and cousins who have kids. I don't think I ever seen someone who tried to treat their kids like how they were treated, which is great. Like my cousins, my friends with kids, you guys, us. Like I feel like we all have this mentality of like, I don't want my kids to go through that. I don't want to ever like have my kids to go through what I went through, and it's been great. Like I think you guys are doing a great job as being new moms, new generation too. Like none of us are like treating them like how we were treated. Okay, what is still happening to Asian women around the world?
Thing that is still happening to Asian women, it's the stress about their weight, stress about how they look, and how they have to treat other people, and how they can't really prioritize themselves. They have to prioritize everybody else around them first, and they're the last. So that's still happening in my country, Vietnam. Like, woman, there's weird because they're this side woman who are like, she's the boss of the house. Everybody listen to her. She's the breadwinner. That's one side, and the other side of the general like population there is like, oh, she's obedient. She has to do everything. She basically get treated like a property still.
Yeah.
Like she don't get any opinion. She has to do chores. She have to take care of the kids. She have to cook for the husband. Like even if she's in the working force, she has to serve all of the men.
Yeah. What do you guys think about Asian women who, obviously grew up in a bad household, got treated badly by their dads, experience what you experienced, and they go out to the world now, they said, I cannot ever date an Asian man, and they only go for white guys. What do you guys think about that?
So I can understand that because that's the same mentality I had with Koreans.
Oh,
No Korean.
oh, so you had a thing where you don't want to date Koreans at all.
For some, and this is why, because it kind of makes sense. When I look at a Korean and I see a Korean guy like just kind of like being rowdy, or like showing his anger. Now I understand like it was just my trauma, like speaking to me. But I would say like to the person that only wants to date like white men, it's the same for all ethnicities and races. Wherever you go, you're gonna find someone that's like manipulative, narcissistic. Like it's not just like within Asian culture. Like it happens everywhere.
Yeah. I think honestly it's fine. Date who you want to date. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter race.
Yeah.
But there's my mother generation and higher. They're like, oh, if you're Vietnamese and you don't have a Vietnamese husband, that just means you're ugly and you're not good enough for a Vietnamese husband.
Damn.
So they would say like, oh, you see all those Asian girl with like a white husband or whatever husband, a different,
rejects.
not Vietnamese. Oh yeah, because nobody wants them. That's why they had to end up like that. Isn't that crazy?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Last time I just heard about this.
Yeah, like they would tell me that things. I'm like, I don't know about that, but okay. Like, why? Like,
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
I thought it would be on an upgrade.
Realistically speaking, I think the change is already happening.
Yeah.
And, I don't want to like add to it. Obviously, like I tell you that like jokingly kind of like about like if I have a daughter, but I'm partially serious, but like it's just kind of how I am. I'm not trying to add to, anyone's trauma or anything. It's just, I look, I exaggerate a little bit. Like you go back, whatever you call what you want, but like, I wouldn't be like that bad if I had a daughter, but I would be a little bit protective only because, I think I understand where a guy is coming from. So I would just make sure she's more cautious. But yeah, I think it really starts with us. And it's starting with us, and I think it'll continue. I think every generation gets a little bit better. You think like again, I grew up in a household where I don't think we were the traditional Asian household, but I could assume, Jia and Dai's Koi, like your parents, parents or grandparents probably had it worse than your parents.
Yes, so 100%. So right.
So I think each generation is trying to be better. And then you obviously you carry a little bit of trauma. No one's perfectly gonna be like, oh, I did a complete 180 and I don't have any trauma.
yeah.
And so trauma dumping, I don't think I don't say you I don't think you can say you don't trauma dump. Like, I think everyone carries out a little bit with that and it comes through a bit. But you try to be the best person that you can for your kids. And realistically speaking, I think every generation is going to be a little bit better than the last. So yeah, I don't think it starts with anyone. I think everyone's just kind of like just improving as we go.
Yeah. Just keep up the good work, really. Yeah. Don't go backward.
Yes.
Please don't.
Not backward.
Yeah.
Are Asian men also getting mistreated?
Ooh, what do you think?
Yes. I would say, look, I'm not gonna say it was the same as Asian women. Like, don't get me wrong. And I think, it applies to, I think, the majority of Asian men where like a lot of Asian men are smaller. They're like short, like they're more petite than like white males. Like, and again, I'm comparing them to other men, not Asian women, like in general. I think Asian men itself, you're seem to be you're deemed to be more passive. You don't want to speak up. And generally speaking, it's because we're smaller than
Yeah.
the majority of the, other people out there. So I think yes, you get picked on a lot. Yes, there's always outliers. There's like Koi right here. He's what you say you're 225. Like, I'm 6'3". Like, there's people like us that, obviously we don't get mistreated as much, but it's like, but when you're
Majority.
yeah, when you're like 5'5", 130, 140 pounds, yeah, you get overlooked so much, not by just society, but like even like sorry guys, sorry Gia, but even by Asian women themselves, you're just like, nah, dude, you're like 5'5", I don't want to date this guy, So Asian,
But it's true.
so Asian men, yes, we get mistreated by everyone too,
Yeah. And I also have like, I see the wrong expectation where you have to be manly. You can't cry. You can't talk about your emotion.
Yeah.
That's happening. Like a lot of men, like they hold it in so much because like they have to appear in like a certain way. They have to be the protector. They can't have any emotion. They can't like in Vietnam it's like weird. It's somebody need therapy, and especially if that person's a man.
I feel bad. I'm very sorry about this, but like I had the expectation that like yes, males like are very hardcore, like non-emotional, like they don't show their soft side. So actually when I met Eric, I was very surprised. He was so emotional and so like
Emotion.
aware of his feelings and knowing how to show his feelings that like it caught me by surprise because I didn't know how to do that. When Eric and I first was dating, it was very hard for me to accept like his soft emotional feeling side.
It's because I like to talk about my feelings.
Yeah.
It was like, why you want to talk?
It took me a while to get used to, but
She still getting used to it.
yeah.
Yeah, I think I have a similar experience with Koi because Koi is honestly so gentle. He's like the first person who treat me like a boiled egg, like so gentle and like just so understanding. Like the best listener I've known in my life.
We don't, me and Koi, we don't really say much to each other about it, but it's just like, we'll send each other memes. And a lot of memes, like, you know, it's like joking about wives. It's not like not that big, but it's just like it's just like wives being mean to their husbands. Like, it's just our way of be like, you going through it too?
Yeah, I feel you, man.
Me too. Don't you worry. We're on the same boat.